you guys who just joined us, a very warm welcome, right? So if you guys have any questions, right, for today we are doing our live analysis session. So if you guys have any questions or any charts, right, that you would like us to go through, please do put them under the questions tab. Right, so let me just enable the chat box. Okay, so you should be able to see and send messages across. Okay, so let's kickstart today's session, right? So just a quick introduction of myself. I'm Lee Sing. You can also find me on LinkedIn. So if you guys are watching a recording of this, if you have any questions, right, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Just a quick disclaimer, right? The information presented here, it's not to be treated as investment advice. It's for educational purposes only. So this is the agenda that we will be covering for today. We will first take a look at the key economic events, right? So the major ones. And right now, there are a lot of fundamental factors that are driving markets, right? With the SVB as well as the CS news. So next, we will be taking a look at the trade setups, right? So for trade setups, we will first take a look at dollar index just to get a gauge of whether prices are sitting on any key levels and the potential direction, right? And taking a look at market structure and what are the key levels for us to watch. At the same time, we will also be opening the floor to Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, just type them in the chat box. So these are the setups that I will be taking a look at for today, right? Mainly on dollar index, followed by Aussie dollar and Euro dollar. Okay, so before we hop onto the setups, right, let's just take a look at the economic calendar. Okay, so let me just bring up the economic calendar. So this is the economic calendar from Forex Factory. So you want to change this to your local time zone, as well as take a look at the impact of the news events. So how you can take a look at this is that this is categorized according to the different currencies, right? So the impact of the data and which currency it's related to. At the same time, we have this impact column. So the ones in the higher or in red, right, are the ones with higher impact. So generally, I just want to filter it according to the high and medium impact news. And once you're done with that, you can see that right now coming up, the key event would be FOMC economic projections, right? So basically Fed's rate. Excuse me. So markets are widely expecting a 25 basis point rate hike, right? So to 5%. So right now, I think most of the people, if you take a look at the markets, right, it's pretty choppy, right? People are waiting on the sidelines for this event. So this would be the key event, right? And then also Frank's interest rate decision as well as BOE's rates. We'll also be taking a look at dollars unemployment claims data, right? So how it does and whether the labor market, it's still holding up against this high interest rate environment. Okay, and then we have a slew of Euro data coming up as well, right? Mainly PMI data as well as CAT retail sales data. So these are the key events for the coming week, right? Not forgetting dollars PMI data. Okay, so these are the high impact news events that you want to watch and how this is relevant, right? So if you're trading purely based on technical analysis, right, or based on technical indicators or technical just TA itself, what you want to consider, right, around these key news events is that if you have any profits, you want to consider protecting your position, or if you're taking any shorter term trades or scalps, right, you want to avoid this kind of high volatility news events. So in such cases, right, can see that when there is a lot of economic data being released, right, in a short time, right, prices might just spike. So if you're taking scalping trades, then this might not be favorable. Okay, so this is on the economic calendar, right? Let's take a look at the charts. So on the charts, right, let's first take a look at dollar index, right? So if you see dollar index has been across different time frames, right? So it's testing on the monthly, it's testing on this monthly support area here, right? So you can see how price came in and then we saw that rejection of it as a resistance. Price broke above it and currently we are seeing a acknowledgement of this zone represented by this bullish candle, and price came into the resistance area over here, right? I believe this is the weekly resistance or the daily resistance. Yeah, daily area here, right? So price traded around this range that we're looking at previously, and then following which you can see that it came in, respected that resistance before it pushes lower. So right now, if we're on the daily time frame, right, the last structure that we have on the daily, you can see the last structure that we have is actually this high. So price came in, you can see that it formed or tested this area, but failed to break above the high, right? And right now prices are just continuing lower here, right? So this is the picture on the daily, right? This resistance and support levels still hold, right? So the levels that we have marked out earlier, right? So this level over here, right? You can see that price tested this area as a resistance and then as a support, again as a support here before it broke below. So this is still a valid resistance for me. And at the same time, right, this resistance area that we have over here, right, even if you extend this to the left, you can see that this area itself can be a horizontal resistance area here. So price came in, right, and we saw that rejection of this level twice. Okay, so right now prices are pulling back into the support area. We've identified this earlier and you saw that here, right, price actually reacted to this region. So this is the resistance area. Price broke above it, represented by this bullish breakout with very little wicks, right? So what this suggests is that there's strong buying pressure up, and then price came in, retested again, and right now we're just coming back into this zone, right? So this for me is still a valid support zone. In terms of the Fibonacci retracements that were done earlier, so this levels, right? So this levels itself, we would need to change them. The reason for that is because right now you can see that this is the push up, right? And we're seeing that pullback. So, oops, let me just put back that zone. Okay, so that's the push up and we're seeing that pullback. So coming into this area, right? This is the support region for us to watch here, right? So this area stands at around 102.80. So this is the picture on the daily. If you go into the 4 hours, you can see that right now where we are on the 4 hours, right, it's bearish market structure. You have lower lows and lower highs being formed, right? So if you take a look at the highs and lows, just marking out the highs and lows. Price came in, right? So you have highs, price came in, form an equal low, broke above, right? So this would then be your last structure. You can see that this is the last low. And then what happens is that price came in, broke below the low, right? So this move itself, you can see clear lower lows and lower highs being formed. So what this suggests is that we, in this case, right, we're expecting price to continue in a downwards trend unless there is a change in structure. Okay, so this is the picture on the 4 hours. Right, so you can see on the 4 hours here. So right now on the 4 hours, right, now that we understand that prices are in a bearish market structure here, right, any pullback, we're looking at possible resistance areas that price might come into, right? So either resistance zones or supply regions. So right now our focus, at least on the 4 hours itself, right, would be this whole leg. So you can see that this is the leg of the chart, right? So we're looking, or rather trying to see if price can enter into any resistance area here. So with that, right, focusing on this portion of the chart, I want to go down to the 4 hours time frame, 1 hour time frame. Okay, so this is your 4 hours leg. So anywhere within the pullback, it's still the last leg that broke structure. So we could still be seeing some consolidation before any reversal, right? If there is, if not, right now on the 4 hours, it's still bearish. So let's take a look at the 1 hour time frame. So even on the 1 hour time frame as well, you can see on the 1 hour time frame. So if we're expecting any deeper pullback within this whole 4 hours leg, you can see that again, right, on your 1 hour, it has to start forming your higher lows and higher highs first. And this leg itself would make up the pullback of this whole 4 hours leg here. Okay, but right now what we're seeing on a 1 hour, right, if you notice the 1 hour time frame, which is basically this area here, right? So just mark out the last highs and lows. You can see that it's still forming again lower lows and lower highs. So even on a 1 hour, it's bearish, right? So this is still the impulsive move. Right? So you can see that prices are forming lower lows and lower highs. So if we are seeing a deeper pullback within the 4 hours leg, which is this whole leg, right, we need again a change or a break of structure. right, the break of the last high, which is this high here, right, before price continues to the upside. If not, right, where it is currently, you can see that on a 1 hour time frame, this is the most immediate resistance area. This is the most immediate resistance area, price coming in as a support, broke below, retesting this region as a resistance, right? So price might visit this area again. Right, so this is something we want to watch. Of course, a break above this high itself then would suggest a change in structure. Okay, so this is one. And one other thing that you can check as well with this move, it's trying to see if there are any levels, right, in terms of retracements or extension levels that line up with this zone. So when we do that, right, let's take a look at what we have. So this is your high, this is your low. So this is the move down and the pullback, right? So within this move itself, if you take a look at the move, Fibonacci retracement of this move from high to low. Okay, so on this move alone, you can see that there is a 61.8 retracement, right? So this is the golden ratio. So this lines up with this area here, right? And another thing we can check is our zigzag movement. So zigzag movement basically helps us to project if there are any potential extension levels here, right? So what this also suggests is that when you have identified the zigzag movement, you can use the 3 turning points to project the extension. So point 1, point 2, point 3. Okay, so with that, let's see what it gives us. Okay, we have the 78.6 and 100, right? So you can see the 100% extension. I'll put this in a different color, let's say in pink. The 100% lines up exactly with the gray zone, which is the 1 hour resistance area. It also lines up with your 61.8 retracement, right? So this is interesting, right? Because what we want to identify, so essentially 100% just means that the movement, this whole range itself, right? So this whole move itself, so this whole move is at about 103 to 103.3. So it's about 30 pips, right? So this move, this 30 pips move up, right? We're projecting from the lowest point, which is presumed to be here at the moment, right? If prices move lower, we will have to switch the extension. But right now, if prices are pulling back from this area, then we're expecting also a 30 pips move up. Okay, so that's what 100% extension means. It just means that the length, which is basically 30 pips, this range that we have, right? If we project 100%, we're expecting a 30 pips move up to this area. Okay, so yeah, so this is the region, right? So this is on the 1 hour time frame, right? And we still have a higher time frames support here. Okay, so let's take a look at other setups, right? And if you guys have any other questions on the setups as well, right, do put them under the tab. Okay, let's take a look at euro dollar. So if you take a look at euro dollar, Aussie dollar, it's been on a very strong uptrend, right? So breaking almost every level that we have, right? So previously on euro dollar, this was the 4 hour support here that we identified. You can see price came in wick below and then following which it just formed your higher lows and higher highs. But let's take a look at the higher time frame first. Right, so on the higher time frame on euro dollar, let's go on to the weekly or even monthly, right? So we highlighted the zones, right, across different time frames. First, the gray zones on the weekly, right? The reason why we highlighted the zones, again, right, is just seeing how price reacted with this regions. So if you take a look at this area, right, so on the weekly, you can see that price came in and then again, it formed some kind of support before it broke below this area. And we saw price wick above it, but failed to close above before it continues lower. Similarly, we have this area here, right? So we have the support region, right? Again, price coming in to test it as both a support and resistance before it actually broke above. So this is the picture on the weekly. If you're on the daily time frame, you can see that on the daily region, right, we have a resistance turn support area highlighted in blue. Oops, highlighted in blue, right? And again, the interactions within this zone, right? This is important. So on the weekly or daily, we saw price came into this region, consolidate for a bit before it takes off. Okay, so this is the picture on the daily. Let's take a look at the 4 hours time frame. So on the 4 hours, right, back then we were seeing price coming into this region, a support area here, right? So we identified that when price comes into this zone, right, again, we don't want to take immediate trades, right? So you can see that there was a sharp push down here. in this area, and I believe this was triggered when the first news of CS, right, was released. So in this case, right, you can see strong bearish move down, and following which, when there is a change in structure, this comes in over here on the 1 hour time frame. You can see that price came in, form a new low, right? So if the downward trend is to continue, right, price should be forming lower lows and lower highs. But what happens following which is that price broke above this area, right? So this is very clear structure. Price broke above this high, and it became a resistance then support level. So this region here, right? So if I just mark out the highs and lows on the 1 hour, you can see higher lows and higher highs. So bullish market structure, right? And the trend continues. So coming into any resistance area, right? If we want to wait for confirmation to the downside, again, we want to wait for a change in structure first. So this is the picture on the 1 hour, and you can see that prices is just continuing higher and higher and broke the last high as well here. Okay, so this is the last support level that we have. Again, right, if you bring it across to, let's say, on the 4 hours, right? So you can see this region, resistance and support area here. Price coming to test it as a resistance and support, and then following which the hesitation before the break above. So right now, this for me, it's the first support area to watch, right? So if price breaks above it, it could consolidate here before going higher. Okay, so this is the picture for me on the 1 hour right now, right? So if you focus on this portion, you can see that it's forming some kind of ascending channel. Okay, so prices are holding in an ascending channel over here. So this is your support level on the ascending channel, this zone, right? So in fact, if I were to focus on just the 1 hour time frame, this region itself, right? For me, this would be the area. So let me just remove the 4 hours and let's zoom into this area here. So you can see what we have over here. Price came in, right? Tested this area, right? Let's go down to the 30 minutes and see if there's any interesting movement. So on the 30 minutes, right, you can see this clearer. Price coming in to test it before forming a break above this area. So what this shows is that this area itself, right, this area of consolidation is the first range where we saw price broke above, right, and then following which also a break of structure. So if we do see a pullback into this region, right, this area here, this is the support area for us to watch. Okay, so this is the region. You can extend this across, right? So this area. Okay, so this is the area, right? It's also in line with the ascending channel on your H1, right? So for channel to be valid, we need price to test at least the resistance and support level twice. Okay, so you get this 2 points, right? Testing the support and resistance, this is the area. So what we can do next, right, it's to check if there are any retracement levels that line up here, right? So in this case, this is the move, right? I wouldn't say that this is the best move, right? So this is the most direct move. So this is the one that I'll take. And let's see what that gives us. Okay, so this is the move up. So you take a retracement of this move from low to high. Right, and you can see that the 78.6 retracement lines up with the blue zone. Okay, let me just remove the rest of this. So you can see the 78.6 retracement here, and this is taken from this whole move up before we see any pullback, right, if there is any. Okay, so this is the retracement level, and we can also check for extension. So again, extensions has zigzag pattern. So we're trying to project if there are any movements, right, to this area. So one thing I would like to highlight is that if you are using retracements and extensions, right, don't trade them in isolation, because at almost every interval, you will be able to see an extension or retracement level. So in this case, you can see the one that lines up with the support zone, right, is actually the 100% extension. Okay, so we could see price come into this zone, right, before pushing higher. Again, right, coming into this region, right, if price comes into this area, you will see on the smaller time frame, let's say the 15 minutes or even the 5 minutes, right, coming into this region, you will see subsequent lower lows and lower highs being formed, right? So the change in structure is needed before we take a move up. Okay, so this is the picture for me on Euro dollar right now. You can see that it's holding very nicely in an ascending channel, and this is the support level for us to watch, right? Now that we are forming some kind of equal lows here, right, just be aware when price comes into this zone, right? So I'll wait for a change in structure first, because price might come in sweep below the lows, right, before continuing on the upside. Okay, so this is on Euro dollar, right? Let me see if I have any questions so far. Oops. Okay. Okay, let's take a look at another setup, right? So another setup would be on Aussie dollar. So right now it's still also dependent on the dollar. Right, so on Aussie dollar, it actually moved or whipsaw around this zone. So on Aussie dollar, right, I believe previously we were here, right? So we're waiting for price to come into this resistance area over here, right? So we saw the rejection of it, right? And we're waiting for a break and close above this region before taking any move to the upside. So right now where we are here, you can see that price whipsawed around this region, right? But it didn't actually break above and retest. So there was a clean break, right? But price whipsawed right below it after. So right now for me on Aussie dollar, right? This is your 4 hours zone. So you price broke below it, form a new high. It formed a new high, right? But it did not break above the previous low. And then what happens is that you can see that price again broke above the last high that we have over here. Right? So if I were to draw a horizontal line across, you can see that this is our last high. Right, so price barely broke above it, I would say. Right, so broke above it, and right now it's pulling back into this zone. So where we are, right, so this area is still a resistance area, but you can see that when you have higher lows and higher highs that are being formed here, right, this resistance area itself, it's not a strong zone. Okay, so this resistance area itself, right, if it fails to break the low, right, then this is a potential level that we can target for our take profits. Okay, so again, right, where we are currently, right, let's see if we have any ascending channel that prices are currently holding in. So you have higher lows, higher highs being formed, right? And then again, what we have over here, you have an ascending channel here as well, right? So again, ascending channel to be valid, you need a test of the resistance area twice. You need a test of the support region twice. Okay, so this for me, it's a valid channel, right? So right now you can see that prices are pulling back into this area. So what lines up with this ascending channel, right? Support resistance area. So if I were to move maybe 4 steps back, right? So this purple zone here. So this was the previous area that we saw, right? So again, it was the previous resistance price came in, right? You saw it test below this region, broke above it, tested as a support. And right now you can see that if you come into this region, right, this area lines up with the support zone. Okay, so this area here, right, if you take it based on specific candles, over here, right, you can see that on the 4 hours or even the 1 hour time frame, right, this might be clearer on the 1 hour time frame. Okay, so on the 1 hour time frame, we have this region here, right? So if you take a look at the candles, right, we have a resistance area here. Huge resistance area, right? So you can see that price, there was a previous resistance, last low, price came in, tested it, and then it broke above. So the candle that causes that break above it, right? So this would be a more specific one, right? The candle that breaks above this support area for me, right? This is the demand zone. So this area here. Okay. Okay, so this is the support region, right? So this area would be the area that I would like to watch when price comes into this zone. Okay, so right now, if you're on a 1 hour time frame, you can see that price broke below this region, right? So it broke below the last low that we have here, right? So currently, in terms of a 1 hour time frame, the nearest resistance that we have is actually this region over here. Right, and why is it this region? It's because, again, right, if you take a look at it, maybe on the 30 minutes it will be clearer. But the idea is that when price comes into this zone, right, you can see that price came in, tested this area, saw that rejection of it here. And then before the hesitation again here, and then a strong bearish break below. So this for me is the resistance area, right? How you can also check this is to take a retracement of the whole move, starting from high to low. Okay, so you can see that it's in line with the 78.6 retracement. So what this shows is that if there are any more levels, right, that lines up with this zone, right, then there is more resistance, right, more factors that add up to the resistance areas. So for this Fibonacci extension, right, we're trying to find zigzag zones. So this is the zigzag pattern that we have. And let's see what it gives us. 0.1, 0.2, and 0.3. So again, right, 78.6, 100% extension there. So I think price could push deeper, right, at least into the support area here for one. That's one, right? And then if price goes deeper into the support region, right, this is where I want to watch this zone, right? But again, if it breaks below this low, then this is still bearish market structure. So coming into this area, we want to again watch for any change in structure on your lower time frames. Okay, so this is the picture on on Aussie dollar. Okay, so far, do you guys have any questions? So if you guys have any questions, right, do put them under the tab. I'm not too sure why I can't see the questions, but if you guys have any questions, right, do put them under the tab. Okay. So if there are any setups that you want us to take a look at, right, please put them there as well. Okay, and then let's take a look at gold. So gold has been on a really strong uptrend, right? If you take a look at the previous setups. Okay, I have a question, right? Pound Kiwi. Okay, we will take a look at Pound Kiwi in a moment, right, Sasha? Okay, so let's take a look at where we are on gold, right? So on gold, you can see here, right? So right now prices are coming into some kind of resistance area. This is the picture on the monthly over here, right? Prices are pulling back into resistance area. On the weekly, you are still seeing, again, bullish market structure, higher lows, higher highs being formed, price coming in to test this resistance area. On the daily time frame, right now, again, bullish market structure with the last move up. So you don't get to see much here, right? So if you take a look at what we have, right, on the left, over here, you can see that this was the previous high and price came in and it swept the high. If I could just draw a horizontal line across, right, you can see that price came in, right, and it sweeps above this area. And right now we're seeing that strong rejection of this zone. Okay, so this is the picture on the 4 hours. You can see that price came in, it sweeps above this high, right, and then again over here. Right, so the picture on the 1 hour price came in and you're even seeing a head and shoulders being formed here, right? So for head and shoulders to be formed, you need a head and two necks, right? So I mean the shoulders, not two necks. So one head, right? And then your shoulders and a break of the neckline itself would form your head and shoulders, right? So for the pattern to be considered valid, you need a break of the neckline. So you can see that this is the resistance area, right? So if you're looking at head and shoulders pattern, if you're looking at supply demand areas, right, or even support resistance levels, these are areas where price reacted to before that failure. So this for me, it's the resistance area here. Okay, so this is the picture on the 1 hour. Right, so again, you can use a Fibonacci retracement to see if there are any levels that line up there. So in this case, it's probably the 50% that lines up with this area here. Zigzag pattern wise, it'll be this Fibonacci extension. Okay, so let's take a look at this zigzag pattern. So again, if price pulls back into this zone, right, and we're playing higher time frames reversal, right? Again, we need to wait for price. If it pulls back into this zone, you'll see on the lower time frame higher lows and higher highs. So any change in structure would be better, right? Instead of just taking immediate shots from here. Okay, so right now in terms of where it is sitting on, you can see that it's also sitting on the support area here, resistance turn support area. So right now we're just seeing consolidation around this zone. Okay, so these are the levels for me right now on gold, right? If you zoom into the smaller time frame, you can see that on the 15 minutes, right, we're just seeing that move prices ranging sideways, right? There's no clear break of the highs or lows, right? So no clear structure. You can see higher equal lows and then equal highs, right? Prices just trading within this range. Probably waiting for FOMC as well. Okay, let's take a look at Pound Kiwi. So we want to start from our higher time frame, right? Let me just remove all those drawings. So either the weekly or the monthly, right? So you can see here right now, at least on the monthly picture, prices are within this range, right? It's forming lower lows, but you're seeing equal. I mean, it's forming lower highs, but you're seeing equal lows. So this is the picture on the monthly. So you can see, right, relatively equal lows, right? If I put it in close as well, you can see prices are just holding onto the support level here. And then what you have at the same time, right, it's also lower lows and lower highs. Right, so lower lows, lower highs, I can mark out this high and subsequent highs, right? So, which means that if price comes into this zone, right, this is one area we need to watch because it's in line with your descending trend lines, also in line with the resistance area. But I do want to note that on the weekly or even the monthly, right, this high itself, this high is not a strong area that we can play shorts from, right? So if price comes into this zone, again, you want to wait for a lower time frame reversal. This is the picture on the weekly, right? So not too different from where we are at on the monthly. Right, let's take a look at the daily picture. So on the daily, you can see this region, right? We have a very clear break of a resistance area previously turned support. So this area here, right, it was the previous resistance, now becomes the support level. Again, you see how price tested this region 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. And if I were to switch it and close, you can see these areas very clearly as well. And if you focus on the most recent price movement, right, just the past few days, you can see on pound Kiwi, right, just focus on this portion of the chart. Right, what I see is very clear bullish market structure, higher lows, higher highs from here. You can see this movement. Okay, so this on the daily, this itself is the last leg. You're seeing some kind of ascending channel too, I believe. Yeah, there we go. So this is your ascending channel, right? So it's the picture on the daily, which also means that if we're on the 4 hours time frame, right? So if we zoom down to the lower time frame, you can see on the 4 hours, right? Narrow down, there is again a resistance area turn support level that price came in and respected this region, right? So this area here, before it continues higher. Right now, we are within this last leg, right? So which means that any pullback into this zone, right, price could continue to trend higher because it's in a bullish market structure on your daily. So with this, right, what we have currently, right, it's to identify support resistance areas based on your lower time frame. It can be based on your 4 hours or 1 hour. Right, so I'll just use the 4 hours time frame first. Right, so on the 4 hours, you have this area. Again, resistance then support level, right? So you see if you put it in close, right, I can draw a horizontal line across an area which price respects multiple times before we see that break. That's one, right? Another one would be to go down to your 1 hour time frame. So we have one area here. And the other area that we have, right, is actually this region. So you can see this area. So we have this resistance turn support level. We also have this move up. So you can see that this whole move up, right, prices are forming some kind of demand area here, right? Price respecting this demand zone, continuing higher, right? So if you focus on this consolidation and then the break above this region, you can see that this candle itself, right, pulls back into this demand area before it continues much higher. But there are no candles that actually pull back into this demand zone. So for me, this is the area, right, which was untapped previously. So if price comes into this zone, right, then this is the demand region for me here. Okay, so this is the 1 hour time frame. You can see that it's much lower. So of course, there's a chance that price would just come into this zone, right, before it continues to the upside. If it comes back into this area over here, we're expecting a much deeper pullback, which also means that if you're on your smaller time frame, again, you will be seeing this move down. So in order to ensure that there is a lower time frame confirmation, right, there's respect of this zone, you just need to wait for a break above the last high, right? So the last structure, which shows that there is a respect of this area and prices could continue to trend higher and it's in line with your 4 hours picture. Okay, so I hope that this answers your question, Sasha. Okay, so this is the support area here, right? So now that we have found this on the 4 hours and 1 hour, right, what you want to do next, again, use your retracement levels to see if there are any levels that line up here. So there are 2 retracement levels, right? One, it's for our H4 support, which is this support area here. So you can see that this lines up with the 38.2 retracement. We are trying to find also another level for this support region on the 1 hour. So on the 1 hour time frame, you can see that the 78.6 retracement would line up with this zone, right? So these are the 2 areas for us to watch. You can also use your zigzag pattern. So for zigzag pattern, they are basically trying to project if there are any extension levels, right? So this is the zigzag pattern, and let's try and find if there are any levels that line up. So in this case, right, the 100%, right? Let's see the 1.272. So 1.272. 127.2, right? This lines up with this zone, which is the H1 support area here, right? There are no levels, at least on the big extension, no levels here, right? You can also project this extension to see if there are any levels that line up here. Okay, so let's see. So for me, Fibonacci retracements and extensions, right, are only used after I found the zones. Okay, so you can see, right, we have the 100%, right? I would say 100% is probably the nearest one. 100% extension that lines up with this zone. Okay, so it's in line with your 38.2. Okay, so these are the two zones for me to watch, right? So this is the first support area for me on the daily and the 4 hours is still bullish, right? With this bullish structure, but any pullback into this area, right, it's possible. Either into this H1, right? This will be a higher probability setup, right? This, in this case, if price comes into this zone, right, you need to wait for a lower time frame, a lower time frame change in structure, right, before taking any move. Okay, you're very welcome, Sasha. Okay, so if you guys have any other questions as well, right, do put them under the tab. Right, at the same time, right, let me just bring up the slides, right? So for the sessions, right, you can actually go to vantagemarkets.com/webinars, right? So we have the different sessions as well as the scheduled topics that are being covered. The sessions are also recorded, so they'll be posted on Vantage Markets YouTube. Okay, so if there are no other questions, right, I see that we don't have any other questions, right? So have a great day, everyone, right? Thanks for staying with us till the end, right? And as always, it's a pleasure to be here with you guys. So have a great day and we will catch you guys again tomorrow.